Are you doing the inner work? For a few years now, I've been exercising slowly but surely, increasing bettering my health, physical health, fitness levels, physique, appearance, breathing, all of these things. I've been slowly but surely improving upon them. And right now I'm at a point of very good health. But it wasn't until 7 months ago when I discovered transurfing, and then that led me down a path of doing the inner work. And I didn't realize how important with every passing day, I'm realizing more and more how important the inner work is. Because every single day, my thoughts are way more calm, way more controlled. Every single day I feel way more peace. I feel way more calm throughout the day. And I feel like I'm able to not control, but I feel like I'm able to just exist more efficiently, effectively. I don't know how to put it to words, but especially after a epiphany I had today. So, as you guys, if you're new here, pretty much I've been doing the Gateway Experience. It's a guided meditation, and it uses specific types of sounds to help you get higher levels of consciousness, like get into deeper meditation, essentially. And I've been learning a lot about the Monroe Institute, which is the organization that created the Gateway Experience. And I've been learning a lot about the Gateway Experience and expanded consciousness and energy, all this stuff. But then there was kind of this, and I was actually printing a lot of pages out. And then there was this like period where I just wasn't reading that much about it anymore. I moved on to other things. But yesterday I actually started reading them again, and I hadn't even finished reading all of the pages that I printed out, but I started reading them, and pretty much I just have 3 documents left. One document is probably about like 30 pages, and I haven't even started yet. Another document is like 5 pages, so that'll be quick. And then the last document is like 150 pages. So that one's a long one. And I think the 150 pages one, 7 resonant colors, is going to be the most beneficial. But I read the Gateway Experience manual, like the guidebook. And I had an epiphany because I realized that this whole time and I've been doing the Gateway Experience for 1 month. Like 3 days ago, I moved on to Wave 2, which is Focus 12. But for the past month, I've been working on Focus 10 and a little bit of Focus 12, but mainly Focus 10. Over the past 2 or 3 days, I've been working on only Focus 12. But that also means that I was working on my Focus 10 as well, because you have to get into Focus 10 to get into 12. But pretty much this whole time, I was trying, and that's the thing. With meditation, you're supposed to just let it happen and just enjoy the experience. And you're supposed to just kind of float along. You're not necessarily supposed to try and like do things, because I was reading about other people's experiences and they were crazy. And so I was trying to copy those experiences, or I was trying to do things. For example, one thing that I kept on trying to do was induce Focus 12. Like I kept on trying to, I don't even remember what I was trying to like expand my consciousness manually or something like that. Like forcefully expand my consciousness. Didn't work, and I was stagnant. So I was making progress, because slowly but surely after practice, like this kind of the epiphany that I came to. as long as you just keep on practicing, like I've been practicing 3 times a day, as long as you keep on practicing, you are guaranteed to make progress, whether it's incremental over time, but you will make progress. And that's like the brute force method. But and the thing is, if you're just doing brute force and you're still trying to do like what I was doing for the whole month of trying to force things to happen, you're going to make progress, but it's not going to be as fast. But then I came to the conclusion that I was trying, and that's bad. Like, you shouldn't be trying. You should just relax into it. And also, I was trying to mimic or have expectations of what my experience was supposed to be like. When in reality, everyone's experience is widely unique. There are some mundane experiences. There are some cosmic experiences. And to be honest, I've had mundane experiences, but they're my experiences. And just today, literally, the meditation I had right before this episode, I had my first like good experience because I treated it as just that, my experience. And I actually took it as it was. And instead of trying to have an expectation or force some certain result. And one of the things that I found, I've added a few things to my affirmation. So originally my affirmation that I say in the beginning of, like, during my preparatory process, my affirmation is, when I first started, was I am more than my physical body. And that was it. And then I added things, and then I added in a few other phrases, but the important phrases are I am focused, which I added because I had lost I wasn't very focused during my meditations. I wasn't like putting as much focus into it as I should have. So I added that. And then I added in I am a man with high standards when it comes to women, because I was my brain was, or I was just thinking a lot about girls that were around me that I didn't want to spend like my life with. So it's a waste of time, like even thinking about them. So that's why I added that. And then the last thing I added was I hold no expectations for any results or outcomes for this meditation, or some variation of that. I wrote it down while I was taking notes on the Gateway manual, the guidebook that I read. I just finished reading it today. I was taking notes on that, and I wrote that down, my affirmation. That's basically like the essence of the affirmation, not exactly what I said, but that's it. And I just said that I added that today, like literally an hour ago in my meditation right before this episode. And I tell you this because I really think that affirmations work, but they only work if you have honestly, I found that affirmations don't necessarily work in waking as effectively as they do when you're in a meditation. Now let me explain. I always used to have this one affirmation, especially when I was getting into self-improvement. I used to look at my like self in the mirror, and I used to be like, man, I'm a beast. Like I used to like get hype and look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm a beast, with the emotion. And that worked. Like that definitely works because it changes like the mindset or the psychology. But pretty much I found that adding the affirmation, especially if you come up with it yourself, like I came up with this whole affirmation myself and slowly added to it over time. Once you add it during that meditation, when you're in that high energy state after having done the resonant tuning and resonant energy balloon, there's just something to it. I don't even put too much emotion in it, but I say it with like emphasis, and it definitely works. Like I say it in my brain, not out loud. And it definitely works. Like over time, literally a short period of time, maybe like less than 4 days of saying it every single time during my meditation, it makes those changes. And I definitely found that with the I am focused, as well as I'm a man with high standards when it comes to women. and I will let you guys know about the next one, the newest one that I added, which is I hold no expectations for this, the outcome or whatever happens. That pretty much that affirmation. And the reason why I added that was because I was expecting things to happen. I was expecting to have similar experiences to other people, when in reality, I was just holding myself back. And there was also another quote that I remember in the Gateway Experience Manual. It was like, the more you practice, the more you let go of expectations, which allows you to like be more, like lean more into the unknown and explore more. And that's also why I really think that brute force practice, just literally just practice constantly, is good as well. Because I'm 1 month into the Gateway Experience, and I'm just now starting to get into Focus 12, which I remember in the beginning when I was looking into it, I saw this YouTube video, and I was talking about this YouTube video on the podcast when I was first looking into it. There's this YouTube video where the guy said that he was able to achieve like Focus 15 within a month. And I thought that I was going to be able to do that too. Nope, definitely not. And that's partially why, because I had expectations. Expectations are so bad for this specific thing. But that's really, like, okay, let me explain. In wave 1, once I got through all the exercises, they had a free flow 10, like free flow focus 10, which is basically like they play the noises and you can do whatever you want in focus 10. But they don't have that in wave 2 for focus 12. And I don't think they have that until like wave 4 or wave 5 for focus 12. And so I am basically right now, the exercise that I'm doing is the second exercise on wave 2, which is all about problems. It's like asking a problem to your higher self. And I found that from what I can see, is the one that he talks in the least. So I just treat that as a free flow. And I visualize my goal. And today I did, in the first half of the meditation, I did send out a question, which was, what is my purpose? And what is the most important piece of information I need to know right now to move towards that? And I repeated that probably like 20 times and like did all the things, like expanded it all out my awareness, and then I released it with gratitude. And I didn't receive an answer yet. But I don't really mind, because I am just continuing to do what I'm doing right now, which is podcast, meditate, and learn. That's literally all that I'm doing. Create content, meditate, and learn. And once I'm done with school, it's gonna be so much more, because I found that during breaks from school, like winter break and summer break especially, I make so much progress in self-improvement. And that's really, like, I'm excited, because in 2 months, I'm out of here. I'm out of school for good. But I did start reading those 7 books. And I'm not really sure if I like using that reading method, which, by the way, the reading method is to read, like, get 7 books in front of you, pick up one, read until you lose focus, and then switch, and then just keep repeating that, cycle through them all. I'm not sure if I like it, but I'm going to keep trying it just to see. Because I feel like one of my issues was I wasn't reading until I lose focus. I was just reading until the chapter was over, or in this case, until like the introduction was over, because I barely got through the introduction on all the books. But there was a few books that I did go read a lot more, which were 3 books are the most interesting to me right now. Tufti the Priestess, Dancing After the Music Stops, and Journeys Out of the Body. Journeys Out of the Body, I read the entire like introduction. Tufti the Priestess, I read the first like 3 or 4 chapters, and by the way, the chapters are really short. And I feel like Tufti the Priestess is gonna be one of the most beneficial for me right now, alongside Dancing If the Music Stops, because in that he talks about he he brings in the same concepts as reality transurfing, but he phrases them differently. And in my opinion, there's actually a different concept that he brings in, which it's the same concept, but he like frames it in a different way. And he talked about waking up. So he talked about waking up in transurfing quite in depth, but he didn't explain it as well as he did in Tufti the Priestess, which basically is you have 2 types of screens. So there's an inner screen and an outer screen. And when you're like fully focused, or when you're fully like immersed in one of the screens, so let's say inner screen, when you're fully immersed in your own thoughts, you're immersed in the inner screen. Everything that's inner, like your thoughts, is the inner screen. So when you're fully immersed in thought or deep thinking, then you're asleep and you're basically on autopilot and you're not controlling your destiny. And he actually said that you're operating at like 10% the efficiency or effectiveness as you would be if you were fully conscious. And then if you are fully immersed in some external event, like let's say TikTok, if you're fully, or even this podcast, if you're fully immersed in this and you're not aware of your inner like thoughts or anything inner or yourself, then you're asleep. And the way you wake up is to straddle the line between the two and basically stay in between the two, where you are inwards, you're focused inwards as well as outwards. Like your focus is in between, in and out. So it's kind of a weird concept to explain, but I think he explained it very well, and it brought a lot of clarity to me, because it's definitely makes sense to me now a lot more. I always like knew like the sensation of waking up, but I didn't really know how to explain it. And he explained it perfectly, in my opinion. Also, I realized more that I need to be waking up way more. Like I kind of got complacent with waking up, and that's not acceptable at all. And so what I'm thinking is, he actually wrote, you need to like try to stay awake for 1 hour straight. I've never stayed up awake for more than like 30 minutes, I don't think. I don't think I've stayed awake for more than like 10 minutes, to be honest. So he said try and stay awake for more than 1 hour. And I'm going to do that. I'm definitely getting more into being awake, because that's all about controlling your reality. And I think that being awake is a spiritual thing as well. Pretty much yesterday's episode I was talking about my new phase in life, which is spirituality. And in that episode, I was talking about how like I'm focusing all in on my spirituality. And I don't really know what spirituality means, but I'm pretty much meditating, doing inner work, like focusing on my everything going on inside my head, and also documenting the journey. And so pretty much everything inner work. And that's another thing. I don't know, I don't remember where I read it, but it was somewhere that I read today. I believe, I don't know. It was either one of the books or the Gateway Guidebook. But I read that, what did I read? I just completely blanked. Oh yeah, no one can see No one can see you doing the inner work. Like, no one knows that you're doing it. Whereas doing the physical work, like going to the gym, people see that. And people can actually see the results of you doing the physical work, like getting a better appearance, like a better physique, getting stronger, all of this stuff. People can see the results as well as the process. But the inner work is entirely private. Like, you are the only person. This is something I read about spirituality. You are the sole experimenter as well as observer. Like, you are the only one who can experiment or observe on your, like, personal discovery, self-discovery journey and spirituality journey. So no one knows. Like, obviously people know because I talk, like, obviously you guys know that I'm doing the inner work because I'm telling you, but you guys can't see me doing the inner work. And I don't tell people, like, at school. I don't like talk about it at school. No one knows. Like, in my real life, no one knows that I do the inner work. So let's look in that context. No one can see me doing the inner work. And no one can really see the results. Like, no one can see that my thoughts are more controlled than they were a month ago. No one can see that. It's all me. I'm the sole experimenter as well as observer. But what they can see are the results. And let me explain. Not necessarily the direct results, but the indirect results. Because soon I'm going to be, like, exploding in my progress, my journey as a human. Like, I'm going to be exploding in financial wealth, physical health, spiritual wealth, all of this stuff. I'm going to be exploding. And it's because I did the inner work. So I have a prediction that when you do the inner work, after a little bit and once you reach a certain point, then you'll reach, like, the inner work will be evident based off of your achievements. So let me tell a story. This is a story that I made up. It's just a generic story, just to explain my point. So let's say there's this man who is working a job, average American citizen, working a full-time job. And then he doesn't really have much going on in his life. But he decides to start doing the inner work, and he starts controlling his thoughts. He starts meditating. He starts doing all this stuff, all this inner work. And he gets to the point where he is able to stay awake for a very long time. He's able to get deep into meditation. He's able to do all this stuff now. No one can see any of that. Like, to other people, he is still in the same exact spot. But then now with this newfound, like, ability. So I want to go back to what I read in Tufti the Priestess, where when you're asleep, you're operating at like 10% effectiveness. But when you're awake, you're at like 100 or 95% effectiveness. And so he's doing the inner work. So instead of him operating at 10% effectiveness, now he's operating at 90, 95, 100% effectiveness. And so as a result, now he's going to start making big changes in his physical. So now people are going to be seeing, like, the results of that, but they're not necessarily going to know that it's because of the inner work. They're not necessarily going to know that he's able to achieve all of this and able to get more effective at this because he did the inner work. They're just going to see, oh, this guy did the, like, physical work. This guy either got lucky or this guy just got successful. They're just going to see the physical outcomes of it. They're going to see that he became a millionaire. They're going to see he quit his job. Now he's financially free. And this was his plan all along. He wanted to be financially free. He didn't want to be in this miserable existence anymore. So he started by doing the inner work. And yes, while he was doing the inner work, he was working on his business on the side. But it didn't really start to take off until he reached a certain point on his inner work. Because there's another quote that I heard somewhere where entrepreneurship is like the most, what's the word? It's the deepest, truest form of self-improvement and self-development, because the amount of inner work that is required to build a successful business is immense. Like, you have to do a lot of inner work. And so that's also why I think that if you were to take already successful entrepreneur and have them swap roles with me, not even swap. Let's just have a successful entrepreneur start from scratch. They would, and if I were to start from scratch as well, they would achieve success way quicker than I would, simply because they've already done the inner work. So they're already operating at like 100% effectiveness, whereas I'm still at like 50. I don't know what percent, but I definitely am like higher than 10% now. So that's why I'm really focusing on this inner work, and I'm really like dialing in on it, because I know that this is what is going to get me there. And honestly, I don't even know what else. I feel like this is another reason why this is the right way forward, because I don't know what else to do. Like, the path is so clear. All I have to do is just keep moving forward in this current direction. Podcast, like, post content daily, study, and meditate. Like, that is, like, before, when I was first getting into business, there was so many different like things or like routes that popped up left and right as I was reading books on business. Like, originally I wanted to learn how to code, then I wanted to learn how to build funnels, and then I wanted to do specific different businesses like acne, and then I wanted to do like other things. Like, I was bouncing back and forth between paths. But now I'm like dialed in. I'm aware of all these other paths, but they don't seem as optimal as this path. So I think that's why I'm on the right path, because all the other paths are kind of just not relevant. Like, they don't seem the right way forward. Like, this path, I genuinely see this path as like the only way forward right now. Or not the only way forward, but the right way forward, or the way forward. Because I hadn't even thought of it. Like, I hadn't even thought of the fact that I'm going this way because this is the way that I see as best. And that's really what transurfing is. You just place one foot in front of the other, and then the path becomes clear eventually. Does it? I don't know. But pretty much, like, right now, I don't know what's going to happen in like a couple days. I don't know if any new thing is going to pop up. But right now, the path just seems so clear. I just have to keep recording, keep building content every day. And that will improve my skill, as well as give me enough time to gather more audience and find my voice. So that's that. And then just do the inner work, spiritual growth, study the books, and just keep sharing what I'm learning along the way. Like, this whole episode, I just spent sharing all the things that I learned so far today. Which, honestly, I'm going to be honest, right before this episode, I just got finished meditating, and I knew that I had to record right after the meditation. So right when I got out of the meditation, I was like putting the blanket away in my closet, putting the pillow away. And then I was thinking, like, what am I going to talk about today? Like, maybe I should just skip today. Maybe I should not record today. And there was even this one thought that popped up in my head, like, maybe I should just sit here and do nothing and record 1 hour of blank, like just a silent 1 hour recording and post it. But that's such a stupid thought. And like, I instantly like dismissed it, all of those thoughts. And then I just came down here and just figured it out along the way. I wrote down a few notes because I came down here and I was like, what am I going to talk about? And I remember that I started like taking notes every day, like writing little notes every day, just to improve the quality and not avoid like moments of silence. And then I started writing the notes, and I haven't even talked about a few of the things on the notes because I've just gotten into the flow, so I didn't really need to. But like those thoughts were all the resistance. Like, Russell Brunson talked about the resistance which is basically all negative thoughts that try and stop you. Like that's all negative thoughts. Like there was a feeling that I didn't even want to record. But now that I'm recording, I just like it's all like gone. Now that I take action, it's all gone. And there's this also another thing. So another reason why I know I'm on the right path is because I'm not like struggling to do things. So I remember when I was like first adding things into my routine, I would have to like use a lot of discipline and willpower to kind of get consistent at it or even stay consistent. But now my daily routine, I just do it fluidly and I just do it fluidly and I just keep moving forward with my daily routine. I do the same exact thing every day at the same times every day. And I also spend a lot of time meditating. Like when I was first getting into meditation, like consistently, like seriously consistently, like 70 minutes a day I would do over 2 meditation sessions. So 30 minutes in the morning or 40 minutes in the morning and 30 in the afternoon, like right before I went to bed. I would do that and it would just be like me just sitting there blankly. And I always there was times where I actually would cut it short for like weeks. I would literally just cut it like 10 minutes short. But now I'm literally just sitting in the meditation the entire time. Now, yes, the Gateway experience has helped because now I'm semi-entertained the whole time by hearing the speaking. But that's not necessarily true because the speaking is only at certain points. Like he doesn't speak the whole time. There's long moments of silence. And I'm entertained now because I actually know what to do. Like, whereas before I was simply just sitting in silence and boredom, just focusing on my breath, trying to keep my thoughts empty. But now I actually have purpose in my meditation, which I think is so valuable. And looking in hindsight, I actually think that before it was valuable also, but it was just harder because it's boring. But that's why it's valuable. Like, don't discount regular plain old meditation with no like breath work or exercises because boredom is good. Like you need to be bored sometimes. But these new meditations, I always have something that I could do in my head and it's something that I'm working towards. Whereas the normal meditation, I didn't really feel like I was working towards anything, simply just clearing my mind. It was just like being present. But now I feel like I'm working towards something with every single action that I do in the meditation. Like from the second that I start the energy conversion box, I know that is helping me with the inner work extremely because I've proved it with I am focused affirmation as well as I'm a man who has high standards when it comes to women affirmation. And I'm proving it with this third one, which is I don't hold any expectations with the results of this meditation. So that first one, I already know that I'm working towards something. Like it has a purpose and it's definitely helping me with the inner work. And then the second one, resonant tuning. Like I know that it's helping me because energy, like I definitely can tell that energy actually is a thing. Like free energy, cosmic energy, I definitely can tell it's a thing. First of all, because I can literally feel it. Even right now, I don't feel like on a normal basis when I'm not thinking about it, but right now I can like hold up my hand and feel like the energy. And then also, especially once I get into focus 10 and focus 12, I can definitely feel that energy and it feels amazing. And my energy levels are definitely increasing, I feel like. Now, it's very slow, so I can't really tell if it's increasing, but I feel like if you were to compare me right now to me 3 months ago, I definitely would have higher energy now. And then the third one, resonant energy balloon, it's like it's resonant tuning on steroids. It's literally just constantly flowing the energy, constant flow of energy. That is where I really feel the energy. And actually, I started doing the resonant energy, like usually you just do the resonant energy balloon during your preparatory process while you're just in normal consciousness. Conscious one is what it's called, or focus one. But I actually, after reading the Gateway manual just earlier today, I started doing the resonant energy balloon during focus 10 and focus 12. And it's like resonant energy balloon, you can feel it in conscious one. Yeah, I just did it right now. But you can feel it in conscious one, like in your waking reality. You can feel it. But it is like that on steroids. Like literally so much more powerful in focus 10 and then even more powerful in focus 12. It's actually so awesome. And I started doing that, and it's I definitely feel like that. It's good. And then the affirmation. Like the affirmation. Oh wait, I said the affirmation was the first thing. The energy conversion box was the first thing, which I put all of the things in, and that is works similar to the affirmation in the sense where it like clears out, like helps clean up my inner, like my mind and all of that stuff. It makes changes in me. And then focus 10 helps me get into deep relaxation. And that's another thing. When I first started getting into focus 10, I was doing it throughout the day at school. Like I would literally, there was one time where I was sitting in the auditorium for a field trip, and I literally just I practiced the focus 10 and put my hands and like I've put my hands to sleep, or like put them into focus 10. And I stopped that, and then I was reminded that that's a thing that you can do during your day. And so that's what I'm starting to do now. I started to do it today during school. So that's good. Focus 10 definitely helps make changes in you, as well as it gives me a playground to visualize, which is so huge. That's actually the reason why I got into the Gateway experience. Like, yes, the Gateway experience like intrigued me, but the main reason why I wanted to get into the Gateway experience was because I was reading Transurfing, and I realized that I needed to visualize literally like 30 minutes a day, and that was like a foundational piece. It was a core pillar of Transurfing. Yet I wasn't doing it. And I actually have a hard time, like I'm not a visualizer. I don't have like imagery sense. Like I can't visualize during my waking. And so that's why I wanted to get in the Gateway experience, because I heard that you can actually visualize in the Gateway experience, which is true. Like I definitely found that my visualization is way stronger in the especially in focus 12. Today was the deepest focus, like the strongest focus 12 I've had so far. I still can't see the pictures vividly, but it's getting clearer. Like it's definitely getting more clear, which is really cool to see. And so I'm definitely able to visualize a lot better. And that's exactly what, like, why I did it. Plus, it's a dedicated position in my routine where I have 3 times per day where I'm guaranteed a time frame to visualize, which I always do. And also, one benefit that I didn't realize until after I started doing the Gateway experience, like just recently, I realized that your visualization is way more powerful in meditation, especially after you've like done resonant energy balloon, and especially after you're in focus 10, higher states of consciousness, expanded consciousness, like in focus 12. When you're in those high energy states, that's when you're like high energy. Like right now I'm in my normal waking state, so all the energy that I'm receiving is just normal. But when you're in that meditation, you're in a high energy state. So it's like your energy that you're sending out, like your thought energy, is way more powerful in the meditation. So that's why I feel like it's extremely good as well for that case. Plus, I never really was much of a daydreamer. Like I never really imagined or visualized things throughout the day, which is why I feel like it was so difficult for me to visualize in the first place for transurfing. So that's why I'm really glad I got into the Gateway experience. And I'd been doing this for a month, and this whole month I definitely found benefit. Like even from when I started, benefits. But right now is where I'm starting to get the fruits of my labor. Because now is when I'm starting to get into Focus 12. Because when I first started, yes, I was spending a lot of time on Focus 10, but ultimately my real goal was to get into Focus 12, because that's when you can start. That's where I heard that you could start actually visualizing. But then my goal changed to Focus 15, because that's where visualization is even more powerful. And they have a thing called patterning, which is basically just visualization. And they have it in Focus 12 as well as their Focus 15 tape. But I wanted you're supposed to do it all in order. And I don't think that Focus 15 is, I think that Focus 15 is not until like wave 6 or 7. Or like way later. Like it's not in wave 3 or 4, I don't think. Because I read the whole guidebook, which is like wave 1 through 5 or wave 1 through 4. I don't remember the numbers. They just said like discovery, threshold, freedom. I don't remember the other ones, but they just said the names. So they didn't say the numbers. And I was looking through, and you can see like they say Focus 10, like 10 with the numerical 10, like 1, 0. And they say Focus 12, numerical 1, 2. So I was like scanning the rest, or I was scanning through the last parts that I didn't really read, because they were the next waves that I wasn't doing until, like, I probably won't do them for a little bit until I get money. And they didn't say anything about 15. Like I didn't see any Focus 15. And actually in the Q&A they said, when there was a question, because this guidebook manual was like released a long time ago. It was probably in like the 80s or 90s. And so there's in the Q&A session, it said there was one question that asked, when are you going to release Focus 15 and 21? And they said they're not releasing it, but they have released it. Spoiler alert. But I just haven't gotten it. But right now I'm just focused on Focus 12, because originally my intention, like my reasoning originally for getting the Gateway experience was solely for visualization. But now I see it as way more valuable than that. And now I want to explore like my consciousness, and I want to explore further. And I want to experience what all of these people are talking about. Like this one, like there's so many cool stories and experiences that people had that I want to experience for myself as well, which is another expectation. I just became conscious of that. But I want to experience my own journey, pretty much. And that's why now I'm not really, I still am visualizing in the Gateway experience, but I'm just not, like, that's not my priority anymore, because I want to I want to experience all this. I want to explore. And I really feel like the value, because similar to me podcasting, I'm finding so much more the actual real value from me podcasting. My original intention for podcasting was to never have to worry about money again. It was a means for my business. But now I realize that the value really comes from finding your voice and all of that stuff. And that's similar to the Gateway experience. My original intention was just to visualize, which the reason why I visualize is so I can get the actual result of me actually getting to my goal. But now I realize that the real benefit comes from the journey. It comes from me constantly working on myself, me transforming myself, which is another concept that I learned about in Expert Secrets. In a story, like the hero goes through 2 journeys. I forgot what the first one was called, but it's basically like the journey of achievement, which is like, imagine you're trying to become a millionaire. You try and become a millionaire, and your journey of achievement is the journey to get $1 million. But then you go through a second journey, which is the journey of transformation, which is the real journey. And it's the transformation that the hero goes through along the way towards his goal. And that's what happened for me with the podcast. My journey of achievement is financial freedom, which I haven't even achieved yet. I'm still on the journey. But the real transformation is happening every day. And the transformation is what is the real valuable part to it. And I was just talking to my dad earlier today, where I was saying that if one millionaire, already a millionaire, had to start from scratch and I had to start from scratch and we raced to become millionaires, they would destroy me. They would beat me so quick because they did the inner work and they've already gone through the journey of transformation. So now I still have to go through the journey of transformation, but they have already done it. So they're starting with a much better baseline. So now they can actually simply just get the journey of achievement. Yes, there still may be a journey of transformation. It's just not as profound as the first time. And that's why it's so much easier to get your second $1 million than your first. And so I'm actually really starting to see that in a lot of things. Like, I'm looking for a destination. I'm looking for a result. But the real benefit is the transformation. Like, in my slide, I actually have me doing like my slide has a lot of things, but essentially I realized that that's like the end result. And I actually am not at that point yet. And I have to like transform to get there. There's a lot of things that I'm doing in the slide that I'm not able to do right now. For example, in my slide, I like actually visualize me at the beach getting to like focus 21 or getting very deep into visualizations. Or not visualizations, meditations. And so that requires a journey of transformation just to achieve that result. So that's why I really think the journey of transformation is extremely important and extremely valuable. And like, yeah, honestly, I wrote down a bunch of notes in my notebook, and I was talking about how I hadn't even said anything on it. But I actually talked about everything on that, and I was expecting to see some notes that I can talk about, but I've already talked about all the things that I wrote down. So that brings me to this one thing. This one thing that I do all the time in my videos is after, like, all of my podcasts, like, none of them are really scripted. Just recently I started doing the notes, and I started writing, like, structuring out like general ideas to talk about. But when I run out, I have to start thinking of something random. And when in a case where I'm actually not, I don't know why I'm not focused. The camera's not focused on me. Okay, but in a case where I'm not, what's the word? Where I can't think of anything, I was just get my water and I drink water. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to get some water. There's one thing that I sat down this morning, the first time I sat down to read these books, the moment that I've been waiting for literally a month. The 7 books that I'm reading right now: Journey Out of Bodies, Tufti the Priestess, Dancing After the Music Stops, The Egypt Code, Die Wise, Come of Age, and what's the last one? Ascent of Humanity. All of these books I've been waiting for literally like a month to read and to get into. Maybe even longer than that. And I sat down this morning and I couldn't even get through some of them. I just thought I was just bored, even though I knew there was so much into them. And there was 3 that, like I said earlier, there was 3 books that I really wanted to read, like Journey Out of the Bodies, Tufti the Priestess, and Dancing After the Music Stops. Those are the 3 books that I'm really interested right now. And the issue with me studying this morning, which is another reason why I think I might not do the 7 books, method is because I read barely any of all of the other books, just a few pages, but then I read a lot of, like, I spent way more time on reading the 3 books I'm interested in right now, which is why I think that it would be better if I simply just chose one and just stuck with it, because then I wouldn't have the excuse to move on to the next one. Like, Die Wise is the first one of the books that I like sat down to read, and I just couldn't get myself to read it. And so I used the excuse to move on to the next one. And I did the same thing with the next one and the next one, which is why I think that that 7 book method has its downfalls, but maybe I'm not even doing it the right way. I don't know. Maybe I should just read one book at a time, but I don't know. And also I want to talk about money, because I realized that I haven't really been thinking about money too much, but I'm kind of like in a position where I don't have any money, and I also want to kind of move forward with things. Like, once I get, like, right now I'm nowhere near where I want to be with Focus 12 before I move on to wave 3 of the Gateway experience. But let's say I were to want to move on to wave 3, I wouldn't have the money to actually buy it, because it's pretty expensive. It's like $110 for every wave. So I wouldn't be able to buy it. There's some things that I want, like, honestly, I'm getting through right now. Like I said, the only 3 things I'm focusing on are meditation, studying, and content creation, which are all 3 things that are basically free, other than buying new books and paying for the membership for my editing software, as well as RSS, like podcasting software. So those are basically free. So I'm in a situation where I don't really have any desire, or I do have a desire to buy more things, but I don't really need to buy any more things. So I'm in a situation where I'm like held back by money, because I only have like $100 in my bank account, and I can't really spend it because I need to have the money to be able to buy, like, pay for the membership, like the softwares. And then, but it's also like, honestly, I don't even know what I buy. No, never mind. But I really think that I want to talk about Dancing If the Music Stops. That is probably one of my favorite books right now that I'm reading, of the 7. And the reason why is because he's talking in such a way that really resonates with me. Like, he is talking about how the children of the light, and I don't know, it's just the type of book that I really am interested in right now, because he said a spirituality handbook. It's basically a guidebook it's like a manual on how to go about life. And I don't know, okay, I don't know why my webcam is not focusing this whole time. Oh, there we go. Just like that. But honestly, I'm really excited for, there's many things that I'm looking forward to, like, throughout time. Like, when I was in the gym, first getting into the gym, I was really excited to see my progress. Now, yeah, I'm excited to see my progress, but I don't even think about my progress anymore at the gym. I'm going to be honest. I'm still making progress. Like, my physique is still making progress, and it looks really good, but I'm not even thinking about it. And then but right now, what I'm thinking about, like, the other day I was thinking about reading a lot, and I still am thinking about it, but it's kind of like 20% of my excitement for the future growth. But really, right now, what my real excitement is meditation. And a couple of months ago, my real excitement was podcasts. And right now, I'm not really thinking too much about the podcast, because I know that it's a long game, and similar to my physique, it's like a slow build. Like, I'm not even at 1,000 downloads yet. I'm at like 810 or something like that. I have like 6 subscribers, which is funny because in the beginning of September last month, I had like 7 subscribers, and then the whole month I had only 6, and then I right at the end of the month I jumped up to 7. So my graph for the month of September said 7 subscribers or 7 followers or whatever the word is. Oh, rolling average subscribers or followers, which is a stat that RSS.com like kind of made up to symbolize a generic number. Like it's not completely accurate, but it's kind of accurate. And so I had like 7 at the end of the semester month, and the similar thing is happening right now. It dropped down to 6. Like it was at 7 in the beginning of October, and now it's been at 6. So it's funny because, but I still am growing on my views, because it says like past 30 days downloads in the past 30 days, and it's up like 60% from the past 30-day session, which is good. So it's like a slow growth, and I predict that at some point there's going to be like big bounces and big spikes, because there's this one thing that I made the declaration that I was going to do, which is go on guest shows, like be a guest speaker on other shows to try and get some more organic traffic onto mine. So after times of doing that, then that will give me a big spike of like audience. So right now I think the organic kind of method is a very long game, because that's all I'm doing, just the podcast, as well as a couple of weeks ago I started TikToks. I started posting TikToks and shorts every single day. I post 3 every day. And those lately on the TikTok, I've been getting 250, like around 200 views per episode. So, or per TikTok. So that's good, I think, especially for beginning, because I feel like I was talking to my friend when we first get into TikToks. It's one skill set. I'm finding my voice in podcasting. It's one thing to be able to talk for 1 hour and find your voice and talk, like do all that, but it's a completely different thing to find your voice in TikToks, like 1 minute, and consolidate your point to like 1 minute videos or less than a minute. So I think that I'm making growth on that as well. So I think it's really beneficial, even though I'm only spending like 5 minutes a day recording, and I don't even edit those TikToks right now. At the moment, I'm not editing them because it's too much. To be honest, it's too much time that I don't want to be spending on that. Even though I could just pop it into an AI editing software, which video.ai is one of the things that I was using before, but I'm using that as an excuse not to create high quality. And it's definitely going to change. I definitely plan on editing in the future, but for the time being, I'm just going to I'm focusing on my priorities. Like, I don't want to spend too much time, because even after this episode, I'm going straight up. I'm not even going to be able to edit this episode today. Maybe I will, but there's things that you have to prioritize. But in 2 months, I'm really excited for 2 months, because one, I'm going to already have so much more growth on my channel, as well as my current, like I'll have, okay, the reason why I'm so excited for the end of school for me in 2 months is, one, I'm going to have an influx of time, but that's not even like the most exciting part. The most exciting part is to set myself up for that. Like, yes, it would be amazing to have that time right now, and I would prefer to have that time right now, but I have this opportunity to grow so much and literally just prepare myself so much, like get more viewers, or just open up a bunch more possibilities, like find my voice more, get better at podcasting, get better at shorts, get better at meditating, I'll do the inner work for 2 more months. So I'll, like, literally my character, me is going to grow so much over these next 2 months. And then by the time I have all this time now, I'm going to have even more time to grow. So I'm going to grow even more exponentially. But then I'll have so much more time now, I can start doing a lot more. And plus, I was doing the math, and I think I'm in 2 months, I'm going to be at like, is it episode 150? I think I'm going to be at like episode 150 when I graduate, around there. I don't know and actually I wrote that in my journal last night. I need to figure out the actual day that I am done, like the last day of my finals. And I'll figure out what episode I'll be on in 2 months, because that's going to be awesome. Episode 150, out of school. It's like setting myself up. Exactly. Perfect timing. But that's the end of the episode. So to wrap things up, don't forget to download your favorite episodes and subscribe to the Ascend Momentum Show. But before you guys leave, make sure to look up at the sky.